Hey everybody, and welcome to another RCT2 review. Today we are looking at Olmec. This is the recent winner of the Dirklink monthly contest for a Giga Coaster, and we are joined by the two builders here, Steve and Pacificoaster. Welcome, gentlemen, to the video.
Hello.
Hey, thanks, man.
All right, so this contest was to build a Giga Coaster and theme it to pretty much anything, but you were limited to no custom scenery, or I guess the Dirklink custom scenery, which is the NCSO plus like colorable stuff. Um, what tell us about the park? Where did you start? Did you start with the layout? Did you start with the theme, or what was the thought process?
Yeah. So I kind of fired it up before bringing Steve on. So we didn't really have much time for this project, right? So I think it was like a 3 week deadline. And knowing my bandwidth, I was like, oh, I got to do something small. So uh, kind of leaned into the mega light type of layout. So I threw that down and, an afternoon when the kid was napping, started throwing down that pyramid around the ride entrance. Around that helix there. That kind of set the tone for what was going to be a South American theme. And as soon as I threw one palm tree down and a few Steve trees, I was like, "Oh, I got to ask Steve." So about 2 days in, I hit him up on Discord. I'm like, "Hey, man, like, I don't know what you're doing. I don't know what your NCSO capabilities are, but I know a Steve theme when I see one." So kind of brought him in, and it was just quick and natural out of the gate. So yeah, started from there. You alluded that there's a DKSO bench. This was actually built on a purely NCSO bench, so there's no recolorable objects. This is genuine NCSO.
Ooh, I had a
So
challenge.
yeah, I kind of channeled my inner swag titties with that one, right? He's very adamant about no recolorables, right? So it's always nice to kind of challenging yourself and kind of make something uh, without those recolorables. Granted, everyone's gonna say it's beige, but Steve and I love our beige, so screw everybody else.
I mean,
Nothing
who
wrong with
doesn't?
that.
Right? So,
Yeah,
Steve, how was your NCSO experience? I know this is not your typical thing.
Man, I know it was funny. Justin like asked me, and I was just like, I guess I'll try. But other than that, before then, it was Storybook Glen was like my only basis on New Element, that Spotlight Park from like a few years ago. So he was responsible for like all the technical stuff, and I kind of just tagged along with what I could.
It's casually thrown out the spotlight, though. Always good. Um, yeah, I mean, there's just so many cool, interesting details, and I think the NCSO has gotten a more versatile and b way more challenging in recent years. I think because you've got all of these plugins, like you got your tile inspector in the game, but then you also have the edit ride vehicles. You got the invisible colors. You have all this kind of stuff that really sort of elevates it, like these awnings that are just the invisible river rafts that you got to position just exactly right to make it line up real good. But once it lines up, it works.
yeah, that's becoming kind of my staple. Everyone's probably on it the pack trope, but it just always looks so good. It's such an easy way to add, breaking the grid, especially in NCSO. It's so much more difficult to do that. So by adding these kind of half diagonal awnings, just really allows for that. And then, also the meta changes so much now with Open RCT with the invisible color. It's like now what one object could have been, now there's multiple potentials, right? You're just like 2 to 3 colors per object, and if you make one invisible, well, now you have a window that now is a doorway or something, right? Like it's just a completely different way of playing the game. So I think that keeps this NCSO stuff so refreshing right now.
This Tolocon topspin is legit. I mean, first of all, just for the ride itself, copied across, and then using the really kind of ugly expansion pack scenery in a way that actually looks good. That's impressive.
Yeah,
Was this sort of a first iteration, or did this one take some tries?
thanks. Yeah, this is technically Rev 2. Rev 1 is actually on Magic Mountain, but I didn't really build anything aside from the top spin and the two golden weird ass Mayan objects, right? But they seem to really anchor the concentricity of like the actual main, rod down the center and then going into the two main bodies on the side. So it just works, and the color palette is perfect for the park. So it just worked. And then the Talican name, I was like, screw that. I'm not going to make my own name. Just call it what it is, you know? So you don't have to really
You might as
figure out
well. Everybody knows it.
right, right, right. And just one thing I want to touch on too with this park is like, yeah, I had it kind of had the layout done for the coaster, but then like Steve comes in day one and does what it does best, and just like just the composition and sightline master, right? He like laid out the foundation of the map layout, and just every sightline is just killer, right? It's like Steve and I have built in the past together on like DAW, Disney American Waterfront, for like a few days. Then we had to remove all of his stuff. So it's been a while since I got to work with Steve. But that just building with him is just, I feel like I'm channeling my inner like Disney weenie. Like, okay, where am I standing? And if I was standing somewhere, what would I want to look at? You know, and it's like Steve just thinks about that when he's dropping in map layout. It's perfect. Everything is just, sightlines are just spot on. They got like the main, you know, midway, what I call it, where that marketplace is. You stand there and you would look down, you know, down through the awnings above with all the string lights, and then you see this waterfall in the back. You got this coaster just flying by. You see it down at the end of the path, and then you turn the corner, you know, where it comes to a T, and then you look in both directions, and you have these two anchoring flat rides, just like perfectly placed. I mean, just I don't know. It's just one of the best things about it, in my opinion, that probably got oversought by many people reviewing it.
Yeah, I think the for me, what always sets these things apart are sort of the intangible aspects of park making at a high level, and some of that is stuff like this, sight lines and just the crafting of space, the way that the paths sort of ebb and flow around things. I mean, that's Steve. I know that's sort of your big thing that you really enjoy doing.
Yeah, yeah. Justin brought the park on for me in Discord to show what the scoop was, and I mean, he had pretty much the pieces there, just really kind of finessing it like just a tad even, just to kind of line things up appropriately to like a tower on a building or the waterfall, like he was saying. Otherwise, it really came, like you said too, pretty naturally. It was a little bit scary how naturally it all came together. It really was pretty collaborative.
Yeah, it's kind of annoying how it was like how many times we would say, "Oh, that's what I was gonna say."
On
Are
the
these
same
string
page.
lights just pieces of trash?
Those are pieces of trash individually placed in position over a invisible ghost train to keep the cable thin, like very thin line. But yeah, that was a painstaking and what is now called a litter editor. It's a plugin now that we have, and it's fantastic. I love that.
Glutton for
2
punishment
hours
there. Oh my
later.
god.
Yeah, you're
Wow.
talking about a
That's
few
crazy.
hours. And to add to the punishment, you know, Steve innocently removed trash as a cheat one day. And luckily, I only had two string lights done. But like coming to the next save, I'm like, son of a gun, I had all that trash place, and then I just like kind of eloquently went around like the subject. I was like, oh yeah, just for reference, like don't use this button, you know, trying to be all like nice. I'm not trying to kill like team morale, but I was internally like dying inside that all this the actual rubbish is gone.
Internal screaming. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Uh, I feel like this is a Steve park because it's got, giant back of house areas that are very nicely landscaped and detailed. Like, I would love to work at a park with this nice of back of house.
It's overly clean, as we know. The backstage is, I'm sitting in one right now. It definitely doesn't look this elegant.
Yeah, exactly. It's fancy though. It looks nice, and I do like always with these kind of designs that you and Steve do. It really has that feel of a legit larger park. Like it definitely feels like this butts up to another nice area right here, and this is some park center lake. This wood bridge is going to connect around the lagoon, and it has that plausible feel that it could actually connect to something else in a way that might make sense, not just hey, there's a bunch of paths that run off the edge.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we tried to put it in that setting. We tried to have that sense of scope. At least when Justin brought the map to me to check it out, he had the lagoon where the first drop kind of leads into with the bridge. But I said we got the tiles. I think we had 5,000 tiles to work with total. Let's kind of make the lagoon a little bit longer. Let's add more backstage. Let's expand a little bit to really give it that sense of an overall park and really put it in that sense of place. I think it works out pretty well.
Yeah, and I
Yeah,
love
yeah,
just the various little details. Like I love these structures here with the Mayan ruins and the monorail pieces. This just feels like it would be such a cool thing to go like shoot through towards the middle of the ride there. Cool near misses and everything. Just the layout is super well integrated.
yeah. Thanks. It's a really small layout. Obviously, we want to keep it interesting, right? And it was fun. We had that main pyramid with right entrances, and I was like, Steve, what if we had another one? He's like, No, man, I think you're going to take away from the other pyramid. Both of us kind of do this where we silently build it and then we'll just post a screen and prove each other wrong. So I built that other pyramid and then all those little, overhanging uh, arches over the helix. And he was like, "Oh, dang, that thing's killer." I was like, "Oh, got the Steve stamp of approval. We're good. Next."
The trench
It's a
is great.
sign of it's a sign of good co-building when you can kind of play off of each other in that way because it just makes things a lot more seamless, a lot easier. Because one of the hardest things I think is when you build a group park, is making sure that it doesn't look like multiple people built it. Like you just want it to look like a park. It doesn't need to look like there's different sections and different detail levels and styles and things like that. I mean, your styles blend incredibly well here.
Oh yeah, I think it's something we kind of learned in Storybook Land as well. Is like it's one of those other parks where there's so many people building on it, but it all like blended seamlessly. And I still like that park layout a lot too. But I think Steve was involved there, and that whole group was just equally as seamless. I think this is probably some of the most fun I've had building. It's like you to build a design of this caliber in 3 weeks is just crazy. But when Steve and I are both just jumping on almost daily, and just everything is just pure magic and perfect, it's like wow, it's just seamless. It's great. I love it.
3 weeks is quick, for something at this detail level. I mean, I assume you probably thought you had a pretty good shot at the win once you submitted this, because this is very nicely detailed.
uh, I don't know, right? It's like the DKMP meta is a lot different, right? There's like big, extravagant things, and as soon as I saw 94 Supremes like Vegas Fallout New Vegas thing, I was like, oh, we're in trouble. Like it's going to be a toss up. Steve obviously he knew what he was building. He was like, man, this is going to win, right? Right? And he's like trying to convince me, like, he's like, I don't know, man.
Yes.
Like these guys are really good. Like, don't sleep on them. And honestly, I'm surprised we pull out the win. I really thought just by the talk to everybody that the other one was going to pull out, but I'm just so happy with this, and hopefully there's more to come.
Well, I think that's what I like recently about sort of that cross collaboration between DK and NE, and those seeing different folks from each of those groups kind of work together, and also just really build to each of the other styles. And there really is sort of a blending there, and there's a lot of learnings between the two different styles in a way that feels really collaborative, and it feels like it's all just sort of acting to sort of push the meta forward, I guess, as it were.
Oh yeah, yeah. And I think, just coming off of Leafy Lake and building with Swag and Ham, and Mama Maria's, like those three are just NCSO like just hammers, right? I learned so much technical work from them, like how to use track types and how to use columns to make, use it for architecture. So I use a lot of that stuff here. And it was funny when I'm dropping that, sort of content down, like the lamppost in the back of the backstage, right? It's like 8 different pieces of ride track to make one lamppost, but it was those kind of things where I would post something and Steve just goes, "Wow, this has been the most humbling build of mine," where he's just like dumbfounded by what you can do in the base game, right? And that's what's fun, like with the crossover, the DKMP guys, like so we're so used to building with custom scenery. It's like we probably just use 3 objects to build that lamppost, but you know, there's a lot of organic structures that are in the vanilla game that you could use to do the same thing. You just got to think differently about the tile inspector and how to use it for your advantage.
I find so often, especially with NCSO stuff like this, that I just sit there and try and pull apart all the different stuff. So it's like, all right, I'm going to click on all these different things and see exactly what this is and what makes it up and how it comes together. Because I can't, like with custom scenery, you can kind of look at it and you're like, all right, that's this object and this object and that object. But there's a lot of times when I look at stuff here and I'm just like, I have no idea what that is. Like, no idea what that thing is that made it. Is it some kind of ride piece that's got an invisible color on it? Is it a scenery piece that I just never even noticed, or what? And there's a lot of that I find kind of mind blowing, to be honest.
Yeah, I think that's what I love about it so much too. Is like there's always going to be this debate of, oh, would custom scenery is more fun than NCSO and DKSO and blah blah blah. It's like, how about we just build good RCT? Like, how we just make good stuff? I don't really care
Mm-hmm.
what it is. I don't really care about the dichotomy between the two, servers or whatever. Like, I just want to see cool stuff. And if it, the most, I think the most fun thing for me building NCSO is like, how do I make it something seem better than what it could be in custom scenery, right? Like the lift catwalk,
Mm-hmm.
for example, right? I'm noodling. I was going down the ride vehicle editor, like just clicking so many different ride vehicle types and making colors invisible. Then I'm like, I stumble across the rowing boats and make the boat invisible to keep the rows colored. And I'm like, dude, that is the perfect catwalk, arguably better than any custom scenery catwalk I've seen. It's like those are the fun little things for me where I'm like, man, it's the base game is almost better than all these custom objects we've been making over the past like 2 decades.
Well, I think it's now NCSO is at the same level of complexity that you get with custom scenery. To me, this is just as time consuming, and not necessarily in a bad way, but just to do the same levels of detail. There's all of those tools at your disposal to do that maybe there weren't necessarily there 10 years ago. So it's really kind of neat to see how that's all coming together.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know, it's some things that are funny in terms of just like the vanilla objects themselves. Like if you just look at the foliage here, it's like we've been making custom trees for so long. I'm like, the answer's been here the whole time, guys. Like just go and look at the expansion trees. Steve is just an artist when it comes to laying out the foliage and landscaping. And like it's just perfect. It looks better than anything I've really seen in custom scenery, or just as good. And yeah, I mean the objects have been there the whole time, guys. Like it's not much to think about.
To be honest, it really does. You think about landscaping, you think about rock work, you think about all those different couple things. It's amazing how natural this feels, and it doesn't feel. I think a lot of old NCSO kind of felt a little bit samey almost, where there was sort of a prescribed 5 or 6 different main themes you might do, and that was about it. But it feels like there's just such variety now, and this combination just looks so good.
Yeah, the foliage and the rock work, it feels very much like custom scenery almost, just because now, like in that meta, we're so accustomed to like the old overgrown tree and the rainforest trees. Like I've used them in my recent parks, and it just kind of came so naturally to include it here, and the rocks and everything. It's really none different between the two different styles.
Yeah, it's interesting. We did our McCall review here a little while ago, and how much that one shares similarities to this, despite having a completely different palette to build with in terms of objects and other things with custom scenery. But it has a similar vibe to it, so it really is. It's not just custom scenery or NCSO or whatever. It's just plain old good park making.
Yeah, absolutely. I noticed after the fact, Justin like he roped me into doing another temple theme,
Yeah,
but I
nothing wrong
love
with
it.
that. I do love a
I know
good
your strengths.
love a good temple theme. All right, so each of you point out kind of what's your favorite thing on the map, or a little detail that you think people may have overlooked.
Um, you find one first, Justin.
I got a few. Something I also like learned from Leafy Lake. It's just spending that extra time to add those little small details of like believability. And for me, like what I've had fun with in it and like park making in general is just like trying to build something where I can envision myself there, right? So like there's a few peep scenes around the map that are just spot on, right? Like so that bridge right there, nearest that island, there's like somebody taking a photo and then a guy waving to the train as it like goes down the first drop. It's great. It's just exactly what you'd probably see in real life, right? And then over by the Scream and Swing, that the building adjacent to it's this bathroom. So if you rotate the camera 3 times, you'll see a bunch of women waiting in line for the bathroom, and it's like all kind of cluttered up. And that's how it is at some of these theme parks, right? It's like there's never enough stalls in there. The line's too long. So it's just fun little jokes in there that if you read through them, right? There's a pretzel stall adjacent to across the path of the Scream and Swing. People queuing up for them and saying little things about like normal stuff that I would even say like while I'm waiting in line, like one asking, "Oh my gosh, the price is so much," or like, they better have cheese. The girl or the person in front of me better not get the last pretzel. Like all things that you have probably thought at a vendor cart at a theme park, right? And then yeah, just like some small little scenes in front of the main or the tees off in the main midway there. The picture of me and Steve and Dirkling taking our photo. And then you got 94 Supreme, who's been talking mad game for like 3 weeks about, I know he was building an RCC entry, and he's just like, "Oh, I hate these two." Just looking at me and Steve. And then yeah, I call out to my boys on the Leafy Lake Park. So they're in front of Talacan taking a photo together. So you got Mama Maria's, Clay's Ham, and Swag Titties out there getting a photo from Ball Pit. So just those little scenes, they just help a lot. I wish there was a little bit more of them. Time is of the essence. So, and you really got to pick your battles towards the ends of the builds. But I just love those kind of things.
I really haven't had a chance to use this plugin nearly as much as I would like to. Actually, not at all as of yet in a park. And it just seems like this is the kind of thing that you could spend just days adding in layering and stories and all sorts of stuff. And I think that's just really neat to have all these little notes, and whether it's like inside things like the guys getting pictures here, or just nice scenes like these guys watching the coaster. It's always a nice a nice adder to just give the park some life and give the viewing person at least more things to go find and seek out, and everything else. It's always nice. Steve, what do you think?
I think you mentioned it already, probably kind of those intangibles within the map. Probably like my favorite thing is to lay things out, the macro of the area. I think even with the stringed lights and the awnings over like that kind of main street there leading up to the coaster, it's such a vibe. It really did end up coming together so perfectly. And all the bridges. Justin even included all the water and the all the bridges. There's like 3 or 4 bridges just kind of nestled into the area, and it just worked so seamlessly. It's those things that just feel so natural that are my favorite, I think.
Yeah, it's amazing all the little details and everything that are buried in here. Just lots of cool stuff to look at, and just really great sight lines and lots of hidden stuff like that. Well, Steve, we talked about what's next for you when we did McCall. Justin, what's next for you? Are you thinking more NCSO, or do you want to get back into CSO, or what's your thought about the future?
Finish Disneyland.
Yeah, you guys know I already have that looming Disneyland park in my sight lines. So I always come back to it, right? But no, I love the NCSO stuff. We have Magic Mountain, obviously, we've been working on for years. I feel like it's going on a decade, but we keep building these smaller things like this and Leafy Lake, and I keep getting more and more ideas. Like the meta keeps evolving, so it's actually making that park pretty hard to build, just because I keep learning so many new things. And I'm like, gosh, I want to incorporate all of it and like create this story of like this level of storytelling and like scenery, theming and depth, and really trying to get that into Magic Mountain. I think is the next goal.
But I feel like Magic Mountain, you almost have some really incredible ideas in there that you're just pulling out for some of these elements here. So you're pulling from it, but you're also coming up with new things to add into it. And it still feels like it's one of those things where the build styles and the meta is continually evolving. So it almost feels like you get to a certain point, and then you're like, well, crap, now I got to redo all this because somebody came up with a new technique that is great for whatever.
Classic pack weakness. Build, destroy, rebuild. That's how it goes.
All the way back to Starpoint.
That's it.
Well, cool. Well, thank you guys very much for joining me on this one. If you guys would like to download this park, I'll provide a link to the download in the description. If you'd like to check out any of the other contest entries, and there were some pretty cool ones in this contest, I'll also provide a link to those down below. And if you have any parks or designs that you would like me to take a look at, let me know in the comments, and also let me know what you think about this one, because I'm sure Steve and Justin will read those as well and appreciate the feedback as always. So thank you guys very much for joining. I appreciate you joining me on this one, and hopefully we'll get to do it again soon or whatever the next thing is.
Yeah, thanks, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, it's great. Thanks.
All right, everybody. Thank you very much for watching, and until next time, we will catch you all later. Bye now.